because dialogue is written, and this is where, I love dialogue. I'm a great fan of West Wing. Why can't I say Sorkin, Aaron Sorkin? But people don't talk like that,
Nope.
or people don't talk like they talk in a David Mamet play. No. But anytime that those takes are added in, it is to make somebody seem less intelligent, it's like, you know what, man, that's just not cool.
Yeah, especially if it's not your own voice.
Right.
So I'm a big fan of young adult novels, and there's like this, just so many Latinx authors right now, and they're like, I follow them on Twitter, and they're saying specifically about how nice it is to use dialogue that actually sounds like people from the Bronx. Like if you're growing up a Puerto Rican girl in the Bronx, this is how we talk. So when it's you writing basically how you grew up talking, it feels liberating. But then you have kind of like Mark Twain kind of dialogue where you're like, this is fucking offensive.
Yeah.
So no, even that's nuanced, I think, where it's like, okay, actually this could be liberating to see these things, but it's,
well, it has to kind of be like across the board, right? So even let's say to take Mark Twain, he would have to do something similar for the white characters,
right,
that would sound white in order for it to even be remotely okay.
Yeah. Yes, but it's very unbalanced.
It's very unbalanced.
Yeah.
It's used to essentially segregate a character from everybody
to
else.
other them. Yeah.
Yep. And so
Absolutely.
that's just a good example of how important language is.
Right.
You're seeing,
Yeah, and I'm a big fan of like literature and like even like really stagey plays like that where it's like the dialogue is like no one would talk like that, but it's so fun to listen to.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But as long as we know that that's like a certain genre and a certain time and place, like then it's okay.
Yeah, it's done. I mean, it's again in the case of somebody like Sorkin, nobody's going to have these like long eloquent monologues and the walk and talks, and it's just it's nothing, but it sounds amazing, and it's
fun.
So well written.
Yeah.
But nobody talks like that. Or the Gilmore Girls, or that's I think a great case too, or any Amy Sherman Palladino show like Marvelous Miss Maisel.
Yeah, I was going to bring that up.
It's definitely nobody talks like that. But
it actually upset me when I was younger watching Gilmore Girls. I was like, wow, the mom and daughter like talk to each other like that, and it's like so, like, I don't know. I just imagined like that's how other people's lives were. I had this like idea. I was like, oh, I'm missing out. So it can be dangerous. Like I was young, right? And this is what I was thinking.
Yeah, I was older, so that did not affect me at all. I was like, nobody talks like that. And
Nope. Or that fast.
Well, some people talk that fast. I do know a couple people talk that fast, but not like there's nobody else to talk this fast with them.
Right.
We're not playing off each other that well. And, no.
Exactly. It would just be exhausting all the time.
Oh, yeah, I know.
It's almost exhausting watching them as much as I like it. I'm like,
there's
wow, it's just going and going. Yeah.
There is a thing called silence, and it happens.
Yes, the pregnant pause.
Yeah, exactly. That gives birth to tiny little pauses. So anyway, speaking of another vocal tick saying anyway, what has doing this for as long as you guys have, and having all of these different topics, what have there's certainly people are always going to continue to talk, so that's not like there's going to be any shortage of topics for you guys to hit. But has there been anything where you were very surprised by the conversation, or how either in discovering how you felt about something, or in a particular guest that you were kind of surprised by? Or
I have one, and I feel so bad that I don't remember her name. The guest we talked to about New Orleans French. Do you remember?
Natalie Dyko?
Yeah. I just didn't... I was shocked that French in New Orleans is being treated like Spanish is in the Southwest, and that it's stigmatized. I just had... Like, no concept that French would ever be stigmatized anywhere.
No, it doesn't seem like it would be.
It is in Louisiana, quite strongly. Maybe not so much anymore, but it was, yeah.
Yeah.
Huh.
And it's because it is the marginalized folks that are speaking the French there in Louisiana.
Yeah, it was associated... For a long time, it was spoken by people who were very much upper class as well. But, over time, those people shifted to English. And so what you were left with were many black people, Creole people, and then lower class white people. So, of course, they're marginalized.
Yep.
So
it happens everywhere,
And also some indigenous peoples as well.
Ah, see? And so I think I even said this in our a year wrap-up. I was just like, you may not think it with all of our episodes, but that's the one that shocked me the most. I just couldn't believe it because I've lived in Arizona my entire life, and I know how Spanish is treated here, and how Spanish speakers are treated here, unless they're white Spanish speakers. So people that learn it to get ahead,
language immersion programs now.
Yeah, those aren't designed for the the immigrant children or the children of immigrants. It's very capitalistic reason for those things to actually succeed and happen most of the time. So just learning that French was that somewhere else in the United States. I was just couldn't believe it.
As a Canadian, I knew very well that French could be
of course, yeah.
I mean, it's not so much anymore, but even when I was a kid, so in the 80s, and 90s, there was so much hate directed towards French, and maybe it's still the case because I haven't been in BC for a while, but my home province, so much anti-French hate.
I just think of it as Paris and France, France.
Yeah.
And I've never been there. So I just have this image of just all these people smoking long cigarettes and eating baguettes. And
wearing berets, yeah.
So I'm like, why would the French ever be marginalized in any way? Oh, of course, because a marginalized community speaks it somewhere.
Yeah. Right.
It's always about that. That's why we're language is or linguistic discrimination is a proxy for something else. And right now it's being a proxy for racism and classism in Louisiana when it comes to French.
So for me, I think the one that shocked me the most was that there are lots of... the episode about zombies.
Yes.
And how, at least in one video game, they're associated with Swahili. But the fact that Swahili is pretty popular in China shocked me. And I was like, wow, Carrie, that's pretty racist of you. Why not Swahili?
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of Chinese development in Africa. Not that Africa is a monolith, but at least in parts of Africa, Swahili is a language that's spoken. So, yeah, why not? Why wouldn't it be a thing?
You're right. I had the same reaction because she was in Mexico, and I was like, Mexico?
Yeah, Mexico maybe even more shocking. But
Swahili in Mexico? What? Because it was Mexico City. Yeah. So, my idea of Mexico is, very much Sonora, just right below... California, not California.
Yeah,
where are we?
California and Arizona.
Yeah. So it is California. Isn't Mexicali? Is that another state?
Oh.
Yeah. So right below Arizona. Again, because I've lived here my entire life, and that's where my family's from. So I'm thinking of that. I'm like, no one in fucking Nogales is speaking Swahili. But of course, Mexico is this huge country.
Yeah.
There are other parts of Mexico, and
also, I bet you there's at least one person
who
speaks Swahili. And they're going to let us know. Yeah.
Yeah. There you go.
But yeah, you're right. I mean, at the heart, it's racist to think that why wouldn't Swahili be anywhere? So
yeah,
because English is fucking everywhere. So, and I never have a problem when I hear someone in wherever is speaking English. Yeah, of course.
Yeah, I mean, we also know that there's economic reasons for that. Sure. Where, it's very obvious that there's economic reasons for that. Whereas Swahili, there are also economic reasons for that, but we are just not thinking in terms of that because it's not as globally known.
Right.
Yeah.
Do you guys does having this podcast sort of change how you absorb things? Do you ever have that filter of, okay, that's a topic. No,
yes, absolutely. Oh, yeah.
We're talking about that next time,
Yeah. Well, and it's made me a better listener. I feel so shitty about I was like, did I not have good listening skills before?
Yeah.
Because I'm listening to the guests and I'm okay, listen for things where they could be expounded upon. Okay. So I was like, do I not do that to my friends or family? You know,
Definitely don't.
I wasn't.
I started recently doing this thing because I have the tendency to drift off, at like somewhere my eyes just start thinking about something, but I will be looking at this person and nodding along and responding. And then, so I interrupt and I'm just like, I'm sorry, I have not heard anything that you've said for the last several minutes, just to let you know.
Oh, I would lie about it. I would never admit that.
You know what? It's because I don't want to, and maybe it's because, of romantic problems that it's led to, but, I don't want to be hit with years later. I told you about this at such a, like, no. I mean, maybe you did, but I didn't hear it. So.
Well, that's going to happen anyway.
It still will,
So I've been in conversations with Chris where we've definitely talked about something, and one or the other of us will be like, what? We were paying attention at the time.
Yeah.
I don't know. I actually have this with my partner, Nick, and I'll be like, I can't believe that you don't remember me like telling you this, and he'll be like, "Are you sure you didn't tell it to like Carrie or someone?" I'm like, "Oh, fuck, yeah, I never told you this. I definitely told someone else." But I just remember talking about it so much that I just assumed it was to the person next to me or whatever, So no, it's just like I remember who like I talked to about these things more because I was paying so much attention to what they were saying to have more questions to ask them, and that see something on Twitter, I'm like, okay. I'm going to hound you. I'm going to DM you, this person who said this, because now we need to talk about this. Yeah. It's definitely changed the way I interact with the world.
For sure. Yeah, it's keeping an eye out for like when people are in town so I can try to book an interview for them. Or, that's definitely, this is, and I think that this has actually led to, the honesty in hearing somebody thing, because I can't, for these sorts of things, I've got to be present. I can't, especially because I don't do terribly much research ahead of time, and I don't prepare any questions. Yeah. So everything is based on just what this conversation is right now.
Yeah.
And it's, I don't know, it's a skill that never thought was going to have. But yeah.
I know. And I get migraines. So I've actually had to be like, Carrie, I can't record tomorrow because I have a migraine. Because of how foggy it makes me. That's how present I have to be for these things now. I mean, maybe not at the beginning. Like, maybe I was able to, like, work through it. But it's, like, it feels now like a different skill. And that I have to be in a certain, like, mind space for it. Yeah.
All right. Well, I mean, what else do you? What do you want to leave everybody with? Do you want to give out your social media handles, which I always post with the show anyway? What do you want? How do you want people to find you and all that sort of thing?
Well, we're Vocal Fries Pod on basically all social media. So Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, though we barely use that.
It's hard with the podcast where we don't have people in studio. Like, maybe you could take pictures of that.
Yeah, I never think about it. And I'm not a fan of selfies and all that kind of thing. So I try to remember to do something about it, but usually I'm just like,
again, social media is hard.
Yeah,
social media is this whole other skill.
It is.
And Pinterest even, which I barely know how to use.
Right.
And then, I don't know. What do you want people to know? Don't be an asshole.
Don't be an asshole. I think, yes.
I mean, if you think you have something interesting that you want to talk about with us or for us to investigate, like one of the things that I was shamed for the other day, the person didn't shame me, but I felt shame. We haven't done any Asian American dialects at all. So there's big holes because it's such a big field and so many things to talk about. People are, contain multitudes. So there's so many things to talk about even with one person.
Yeah.
We love having people that aren't linguists. But yeah.
We have thought about the Asian thing though.
We tried.
We did try a couple of people.
Yeah.
Including Hari Kondabolu. That was definitely a reach.
Yeah.
But like, so as far as I know, there's no like particular dialect they're associated with, but there is discrimination that's language-based directed against them.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So
if you have a topic you want to talk to us about,
or hear about,
or hear about, but if you want to talk to us, especially email us at vocalfriespod@gmail.com.
Yep.
Cool. Well, I love your guys' podcast, and thank you for sitting in my little office area here and talking to me. And it was
thanks for having us.
Yeah, thank you for having us.